Hi folks, welcome back to the Secret Wargamer channel. I've got a game of Pendragon on the go at the moment. I may have mentioned in a previous video that during the COVID-19 crisis here in the UK and lockdown, I'm going to try and play my coin games in historical sequence. So I had to go at Falling Sky. That ended rather abruptly when I realised that I couldn't afford to pay off the Roman legions costs for quarters. Long story, but yeah, that game ended quite abruptly. Pendragon, completely different kettle of fish, right? So it still involves Romans, but it's all about the exit and the fall of Roman Britain. There are 4 factions, as you'd expect in a coin game, 2 of which are Britain related and 2 of which are barbarian related. So let's start with the British factions. The pale blue are the Civitatis. They're like the landowners, the lords, the wealthy Brits. The red are the Dux, spelled D-U-X. I'm not quite sure if I've pronounced that correctly. They are Roman military, okay, and I guess mercenaries and whatnot that made up the Roman military at that time. Cavalry, the cubes are cavalry. The red sort of square thingies are forts. On the Civitatis side, these tend to be, what are they? That one's a town. The pale blue are the towns, and the dark blue here are hill forts. Okay. These cubes, pale blue cubes, represent militia, and through various events and developments, they can get more powerful troops, comitatus. Okay. On the barbarian side, 2 factions. We have the Scotti, and they tend to raid from this side of the British Isles. They can also come in from Caledonia, and they can come in on this ocean here, which I'm desperately trying to remember how to pronounce it, but there you go, you can see it. Some markers here, which just show whether the ocean is patrolled or not. That has effect on when you want to raid. Come on to that in a minute. The other barbarian faction are the Saxons. They are these black pieces. For both the barbarians, these square pieces represent settlements. They have some interesting pieces. Let me see if I can show you. So these kind of wedge-shaped pieces, and if you can see that very clearly, they're raiders. The black cubes are warbands and more powerful. So the raiders kind of come, steal, plunder, pillage, and then clear off or settle. It's the same really for the Scotti, fewer pieces. What else? You can see the control markers as you would expect. What the aim really is from a barbarian perspective is to settle and gain renown through stealing plunder. So interesting, right? I started the game with playing a pivotal event. So each faction has its own pivotal event, played under certain circumstances. I'm not sure whether it's always used as the first card, but I would tend to use this one, which is the Scotti pivotal event. I won't go into all the mechanics of gameplay, we'll be here for hours, and to be honest, there's far better bloggers than me at explaining gameplay. But essentially it allows the Scotti and then the Saxons to free raid, right? So normally you'd expect to pay costs for raids, as you would in any coin game. There's costs involved in actions, and this one has been remarkably successful and quite damaging. So here you can see raiders, okay, and these little gold cubes normally sit in these boxes. They represent wealth, or wealth, really, prosperity. And as they land, you lower the number in there and you add them to the raiders. So they're kind of yomping around now with their bags of loot. had a battle. There was a hill fort here, it may have been there actually, and a Civitatis militia. This raiding group was actually significantly larger, so they had a battle, and there's some extra plunder because they destroyed the hill fort. Similarly, over here they did a deep raid, and you can see lots of plunder there. I've not yet got to adjust this. I've just got to adjust this. I'll go through what the tracks are in a minute. So the idea really is to sort of keep plundering, raiding. Certainly for the Scotty, if they can return and get away from the British Isles and bring all that plunder back, their renown, which is like the equivalent of their resources, will increase by the number of gold cubes that they've managed to get away with. Similarly for the Saxons, right? So if they can clear off back to Saxonia, then their renown will go up. And there are options, commands and feats and whatnot to settle. And the Saxons are really more interested in settling and creating a foothold and building out stronger raids from established bases. The Scotty less so. They're interested primarily in stealing plunder and having a limited number of settlements. So ducks I've talked about, Civitatis in brief. Around the edge you can see various markers, as you would expect in coin games. I think something that's additional in this game is this sort of Imperium track. So at the moment it's showing that it's under Roman military rule. It can move across to Roman rule, but there's a civilian dominance, and eventually they sort of fragment. So at the beginning of the game, the ducks, the red and the blue, really are working closely together, okay? And they can fight together. The Romans, the ducks, have none resources of their own. They're constantly spending the Civitatis resources. There will come a time that relationship will fragment, and then they're both independent factions. And I've found it quite a challenging game. Lots to it. Quite complicated when you try and have a battle. There's many steps to that. When you get the hang of it, it's okay, but getting the hang of it and getting there can be quite arduous. However, I find the rewards are quite big. Very enjoyable game. This is going to take me some considerable time to play. As you can see, I've got the full deck of events. Within those will be what they call epochs. So that's like the equivalent of coup rounds or winter in Falling Sky, winter quarters or whatever it's called in Liberty or Death, right? So those are where you pay various costs, you get casualties back, things move on the Imperium track, blah, victory checks and what have you. Bizarrely and coincidentally, I've got another game running with a group of chaps from Wargame Group, Cardboard Emperors, which is seems to be a really nice group here in the UK. I've only recently joined. So we've got a vassal module going on that at the moment, and really nice to play against to have a 4-player game. Really brings these games alive, I think. So at the moment I'm playing all 4 factions. I found the bots a bit confusing. That's probably 75% my fault, because I haven't spent the time properly reading the playbook, and 25% from the fact that they probably are confusing. Looking ahead, I'm thinking about whether to buy Gandhi or not. It's a subject that fascinates me, the decolonisation of British India, and that has a very different approach to the non-player controls. They have a card-based system. Really need to look into how that works. In fact, I've just recently posted on the GMT site a question around my general confusion on some of the more recent versions of bots and how they compare to the card system used in Gandhi. There's a card system that's been developed as well for Fire in the Lake. I've taken a punt and pre-ordered that. Hopefully that will be an improvement on using bots. And you know, my comments around bots might sound a bit negative, but actually these are complicated games, and necessarily the workflows, the flowcharts need to be complicated in order to, you know, give the non-playing factions a comprehensive set of actions that they can complete and give a competitive game. So you'd expect them to be somewhat complicated. So anyway, I'm beginning to waffle now, as is my wont. I'll keep you posted on this. I won't post every move. It will drive everyone mad, me included. But I will show you as the game progresses just how things go. Thank you for watching, and take care during this terribly difficult time for pretty much everyone on the planet.